I hope my mic is working this time. I hope my mic is working this time. Oh, it is. That's convenient.
Hey, what's up?
Hello? There's a Chris here
I can't hear you.
now. Well, that's awful silly.
Oh, there you are.
Ah, apparently you could hear me.
Now I can hear
Yeah, but Crow's not here. He's late.
you. That dang pro.
Let's go on his. I'm gonna go on his Twitch. He was streaming like 5 seconds ago. I think he still is. We might be
Get
doing a
on.
double stream here or something. Oh, Crowbird is offline. Ooh, he's not streaming. Okay. If you're joining us now, this is the random stuff segment of the pre-show. keep calling it a pre-show. It's really more of just I put up a thing so that we can be live a little bit before we're actually live. I'm not sure if that actually helps anything.
Are we live?
We are live, indeed. I even tweeted about it.
Let's see. I think I'm actually a little loud on the YouTube video portion of this.
Ah, well, in that case, I could adjust your settings. There, try that.
Turn my volume down a little.
Okay. Night, night.
Listen to it.
Do we have a YouTube sound check?
Yeah, I'm still very loud.
Okay, I turned you down a bit. You're not coming out loud to me. Maybe I'm just quiet. I don't know. I could turn my...
Well, you sound like you're a normal volume.
I'm a normal
Sound
volume.
like-
You're just extra loud? Okay.
I'm just extra loud,
I
yeah.
will turn you down some more on Discord and try that.
Let's see how that sounds. Okay, that's better.
All right. Perfect. Apparently.
All right.
So now we're just waiting on the crow. So, what you playing? Let's have some interesting pre-show content.
Well, I meant to see that this game is already mentioned in Switch. The that it's coming to Switch, or it has come to Switch. I'm not sure. But Deltarune Chapter 2 came out. I finally got a chance to play that.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, it came out last week on Steam, right? And then it came out just yesterday. They shadow dropped it after the direct. So we'll get into that all when we get to the news and booze. But now there's a crow here.
Did somebody say booze? Because I don't have any.
Oh,
I forgot.
you fool. That means I have to drink extra.
I had to go digging around in some boxes for a bottle opener.
Nice. I was going to bring you a beer, and then I remembered I don't know where you live anymore. So I did not bring you a beer.
I
I
am
thought you were talking to me for a sec.
100% not going to announce where I live on stream.
That's
so.
a good idea. All right. So Crow's here now. Crow, did you want to stream a game, or
Oh, that's right. I was going to do that.
I wasn't
Hold on.
sure. I'm not going to pressure you to if you don't want to, but
No, I could definitely do that.
okay.
Let me mute Twitch and fix my camera.
Hmm.
No, watch text stream cam. That's the correct thing. Hold on. Sorry, I'm juggling a couple of things. We're not live, are we?
We are live, but we're in the pre-show, so it's okay.
Okay, good.
The pre-show is just a little title card and the background noise of us trying to set up to look like we're professional. It's a terrible pre-show, but you know, they get what they pay for.
Professionalism is not our middle name.
It's a much better pre-show if you drink, though.
I mean, that's fair. I have drinks, just not alcoholic ones.
You fool. It's okay, man.
How dare
I'll
I?
take one for the team.
Is that correct? That's not correct. Is that correct? That's not correct. That correct. That's not correct.
I just like making noise.
It definitely made noise.
I played some.
I could hear that.
I played a tune on the pre-show earlier. It was amazing.
Was it
Last night or last week, I mean, I played some
Is that it?
ocarina music in the pre-show, and
Is that the answer?
I realized partway through the stream.
Hey, there it is. Okay, I figured it out. Turns out I'm stupid. Having what's it called? Streamlabs up. Apparently, when it puts Discord into streamer mode, does not let you turn on your camera. So
Nice. But yeah, I
Congratulations.
played some ocarina music for the stream on last week, and then I realized my microphone was off for like the
delay.
first
it's not a delay.
almost an hour of the stream. It was awkward and hilarious.
Nice.
It's
How did you
how it
like
goes.
the game for the parts that you tuned into, Sean?
Seems kind of interesting. I wasn't actually sure what game that was. I just, like, it said Crow is live. I was like, oh, I'll watch Crow for a little bit.
It's called In Sound Mind.
Okay.
It's very Evil Within-esque,
Okay.
just with fewer guns.
Neat.
It is such a good game. It's so good. I'm very excited for this game when it comes out.
Yeah, just exploring around in the dark and all that seemed kind of neat. So I am interested now. So.
Okay.
All right. If you pop the stream into the Discord of whatever game you got, then I can
I'm
set us up.
still working on it. Choose Risk of Rain, Rogue Company, or Ghost Recon Wildlands. Take your pick. Rogue Company is similar to Overwatch and Valorant, by the way.
Okay. I was gonna say I haven't played a Ghost Recon game since maybe Xbox 360. The ones I remember playing most were on original Xbox, so I don't know if I played one for 360 or not. So I'd be curious to see what the series has been doing since I last paid attention.
Wildlands it is.
All right.
Gotta give me a sec to boot this up.
All right.
So
To anybody
I'll,
waiting in the live audience, we are now waiting on Crow. Even
speaking
though
of
he's
waiting,
already here.
I'm waiting on you to migrate to Twitch.
Oh,
so
yeah?
that way I can just fucking raid you directly.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, like obviously I can't raid you from Twitch to YouTube.
Mhm.
So I have to raid somebody else and then throw out on like Twitter or Discord or something like, hey, I moved over here. Versus we can just go to Twitch and I can just raid you outright so that I just bring all my viewers to you
Huh.
for the times when I'm on the show. And then you can just, when you're done with the stream, export it to the channel.
Neat.
You know, food for
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, I've considered looking into Twitch as an alternative to YouTube. I looked into it a little bit to see if I could just do both at the same time, but that's complicated.
I mean, kind of. That's a way to do it. I used to do it back in the day.
Hmm.
But I don't remember how.
Yeah, so it's another thing to put on the potential back burner.
My hair has
Yeah.
gotten so
So,
stupid long.
shall
Look at
we...
this. It doesn't fit on camera.
Your what?
My hair.
Oh,
It's so long, it goes off camera.
wow. Look at your luxurious locks.
You've got longer hair than I do now.
We've
is
got
hot.
a person in the chat already. Welcome, Tayari Sapphire. Tayari was
Hello.
here last week chatting me up a little bit when I was playing whatever that game was. What was that game?
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange. Yeah, I was the word that came to mind was Stranger Things, and I was like, no, that's the Netflix show. That's something else. So glad to see you back. This is more what we normally do here tonight. Is usually a little podcast sort of a thing, and with that, let's get going. Chris, do you have your
And
instrument ready to play our theme song?
I do have my instrument.
Okay.
oh, we're getting a duet.
Yeah. Okay, so in that
Is
case...
You see the game? This game there?
I
Game good?
see the
You
game. It says you're preparing session.
Good.
Yes. All right. So boom, and we're actually live on YouTube. Haha, with video
Yay.
and stuff. Yay! And you can see Crow's luxurious mane. Yeah. Here, headbang while I play some bagpipes. There we go.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
So proud of you.
I've been practicing totally other tunes, so I had a couple of little issues in there, but I don't think anybody noticed them but me. Okay, so now we are about to get ready to record the audio version of our podcast, so everything you have seen up until this point has been YouTube exclusive, which is cool. All right. Tayari swears that she headbanged in the YouTube chat, so we will drink to you. So we're gonna sing our theme song right here. 3, 2, 1. The theme song is actually just the sound of opening beer.
I crinkle the bottle because it's the best I can do.
Oh. Man down.
I should have had my
No!
cup ready.
How could you do this?
Already, Chris. Really?
Chris, why? Such a waste.
Suck it out of the carpet. Suck, suck, suck.
No, it's the bottle cap.
Oh, it's just the bottle cap. Okay.
Fuck am I?
But speaking of which, I also have like a small collection of bottle caps for you too, Chris. All right, and we're live. Welcome to the Drink to the Past podcast. Hello, Internet. My name is Spammo Man, as always, your host of Drink to the Past, the only podcast where spicy, spice, because we're going to have a spicy podcast tonight. It's going to be so spicy. That's what all the hip kids are saying, as far as I know. So don't forget to share, subscribe, and ring that bell every notification Friday, something live in YouTube. I am joined by co-host and/or guests. My co-host this week is the same co-host it always is because he's my co-host. Chris owns an apartment now, Audit.
I have a place. I've moved.
Yeah. Your background is, like, darker, and somehow that actually, like, makes it look better.
It's because I'm frontlit by this weird pineapple lamp that I have, which is the only source of light in this room.
Huh. You know what? It actually kind of works as, like, an effect. I kind of dig it.
Bird approaching. Stay down.
It's, much better than, like, before when it's just kind of like this giant white wall behind you, and just, like, your face was always kind of dark because of that, I think.
The giant.
So,
I've got the bike.
Yeah, I'm no longer
in your old
lit
place.
Up here, I'm lit from this direction.
Yeah. That's convenient.
Dead on.
Check this spot out
Yeah.
for intel.
All right. So, let's get into Sean Drinks Something Stupid. So, I don't remember how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago. I did a drink on here called a white man's margarita, or a poor man's margarita, something stupid like that, which was Mountain Dew and tequila, and that's your makeshift margarita. So, you drive a construction vehicles in Ghost Recon now? And kill civilians with them?
Yeah. You'll get penalized for it, but yeah.
Okay, watch out for that. But anyways, I decided I would try something similarly stupid with the new Mountain Dew, which is thrashed apple flavor, which by itself, I had one of these, and it's okay. It's far from my favorite Mountain Dew. It's like, if you like those apple, like, sucker candies, not the Jolly Ranchers, but like the apple flavored suckers. then it tastes exactly like that. So it's not bad, but it's weird as a soda, and it's not as refreshing as like just Mountain Dew. But
Speaking of Mountain
anyways,
Dew, did you guys see the Flamin' Hot Mountain Dews?
I did. I logged on because actually that would have been perfect for my spicy stream because we're so spicy tonight, as far as I know. But yeah, I logged on like an hour after it went live and it was all sold out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, flaming hot Cheeto Mountain Dew for me.
Yeah.
It's
I overslept and missed it.
I was at work. Like, I got off work, and immediately the first thing I did was look at my phone and see if I could order it, and it's like, nope. All the different vendors you could order it from are sold out.
Yeah.
Anywho, I got the apple one here, so I'm going to make a poor man's apple teeny. So I'm going to take my apple Mountain Dew here, and I got some gin, and I'm going to mix this as any poor man should by pouring the liquor straight into the Mountain Dew can. That is how you do that. Ask any mixologist. They'll probably tell you I'm insane. Tiari, I like the old school... oh, wait, I think you're talking about the suckers. Yes, like the old school, like the apple suckers that you'd get, like, when you spelled the word right in 3rd grade. That thing. And then, anyways, because it is our spicy stream, I thought I'd make it a spicy apple teeny, so I'm gonna put in some fucking cinnamon right here. That is... This is top class drink mixology. I'm kidding. I'm a beer and shot guy. I don't know what I'm doing. I just do stupid things on my podcast because it's funny to me, even when it tortures, especially when it tortures me.
Cinnamon is definitely the worst part of that. If you're for your
Come on, do it. You know you want to.
It was hard to actually pour the cinnamon directly into the mouth of the can, so I got most of it in the mouth, and I've got a fair amount of just cinnamon, like on the top rim of the can here. So I feel like my first drink is just going to be a straight shot of cinnamon here. So bottoms up.
How is it? How does it compare to Fireball?
Not bad, actually. Actually, this is okay. I think the cinnamon actually works really well with the apple here, because the apple Mountain Dew by itself, like I said, it just tastes like that sucker. It's like plain-ass apple flavor, and it's kind of boring. And it's, like, with the cinnamon, it actually works pretty well. I actually don't taste the gin very much at all, which could just be because I put all of the cinnamon right on top, basically, so... Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think if you actually were a mixologist and could get a good ratio of cinnamon to this... Actually, I thought about getting this... using this thrashed apple with just a shot of Fireball. I think a shot of Fireball would go great in this. And that would be a much simpler way to effectively make the same cocktail, except for probably better, because it wouldn't be relying on this cheap-ass gin.
It's fair.
Tayari is apparently a bartender and confirms I'm doing it right, so we will drink to that.
I'm amazed.
All right, and with that, shall we get into the news and booze?
Huh?
All right. Well, we have our news and booze theme song then. All right, and then we go into the video gaming news.
Before we do,
We vaguely talked about what you're playing in the. I think we've got a long show today, so we could skip what you're playing and
let's skip it. Let's
and
save it
and
for
we'll
next time.
yeah and we could use if we have anything to say about it, we could use it in our closing segment too. So we'll see how it goes. But we've got a lengthy pile of news and booze here. and then a couple of good topics, which I don't think I actually put on the. I did not put them on the document, but I know what they are because they're spicy. Because we're just doing hot takes. That's it. It's going to be fun. So look out for hot takes later. But first piece of news and booze is Tales of Arise has already sold 1 million copies. That was just under a week after it released. They released this data, and so it is the fastest Tales game to reach that milestone. So I thought that was pretty sweet. Either of you played Tales of Arise yet?
I know my one of my assistant played it. He loves it. I'm probably not gonna pick it up.
Yeah. Not a Tales man?
No, not really.
That's
Like
fair.
I've heard good things about it, but I generally just don't pick up anime games.
Right. That's fair. I like it so far. I'm only about 3 hours in, but I've always liked the Tales series. It's really good. So I am having a good time so far. Yeah, if anybody out there is interested, I would definitely recommend it. But it's just not going to be for everyone. So, Chris, have you played any Tales games since that time we played Tales of Symphonia back on my GameCube?
I have not. Which is weird because it seems like the sort of series I should have hopped into, right?
Yeah.
But I'm at that point now where I have like 20 games in my Steam library that I just haven't downloaded.
Right.
I haven't even touched, so it's
That's
kind
fair.
of gone the way of that.
Yep. All right. What were you gonna say, Crow?
Have you played Scarlet Nexus?
I'm
I'm curious how they compare. I own it. I haven't played it yet.
That was one that looked kind of neat, but I didn't get into it. I think I forgot to introduce Crow, so this is our special guest, Crow.
Thanks, buddy. I mean, at this point, do I really need an introduction?
I don't know. You're on the show enough that we're reacting to stuff, so Crow is here. It's accidentally become tradition. Don't explode or get shot.
Didn't realize this is a hostile area.
The cinnamon didn't really mix very well, so I keep sometimes getting a lot of cinnamon and sometimes not getting hardly any.
Is it adding to the flavor experience there in a positive way, Sean? Or is it mostly bad?
It's fun. Because you don't know what you're gonna get, right? I think it would be great if it was like just a balanced amount of cinnamon instead of just sometimes, boom, there's the cinnamon, and sometimes the cinnamon's like hiding. Like, is it even there? Who knows? Bandai Namco also announced digital sales of Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition have passed 1.5 million, so the total sales for that game, including the original release, are now up over 2.8 million copies. So I thought that was pretty cool too, because Tales of Vesperia is one of my other favorite Tales games. By which I mean one of the handful that I've played to any significant length, because every one that I've played to significant length I've eventually fallen in love with, except for the awkward sequel to Tales of Symphonia, which was just not good. Although the other day I was thinking I should like try that again and see if it's like as bad as I remember. But I didn't get around to it, and I couldn't find it. I'm not sure if I still have my original copy. I might have traded it in. I don't know. That was back then when I traded in games, and now I regret all of the trade-ins that I've ever done.
Trading in that Xbox 360.
That was hilarious. So yeah, I suppose neither of you have also probably played Tales of Vesperia, so not much to say on that, eh?
Negative.
All right. Well, I've played both of these Tales games within the last week because playing some Tales of Arise got me thinking, well, I'm pretty close to the end. I should go back and finish Tales of Vesperia. So I've played that for about 4 hours this week, and I thought I was close to the end, and that was 4 hours ago. So now I'm pretty sure I'm closer to the end. I'm like, the ending, it doesn't drag, but it keeps adding layers, which kind of is a little bit like, I'm a little bit like, just end it already, but all of these layers kind of tie up other like storylines from throughout the story. So it's I'm okay with it. I'm like, okay, it's just tying up the loose ends, so it's pretty cool. Anyways, before we get into the Nintendo Direct stuff, there was actually a Sony State of Play since the last time we had a podcast.
Forgot about that.
Not a lot of stuff from that, but I picked out a handful of announcements that I thought were worth talking about. So, God of War Ragnarok got its first trailer. No release date or window as of yet, but it was. Sony mentioned in the past that the game would be releasing in 2022. So, theoretically, that's still the release date. They didn't say it was delayed or anything. So, yeah.
In theory.
I think actually it looked a lot more interesting from a, like, story lore perspective than the first one. First one. By God of War, 2018? Which was the reboot one. So that's what I mean when I say the first one. It's not the actual first one. Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for this, because I was kind of lukewarm overall after playing the first God of War, which I played after I heard, everybody hype it up for forever. But, like, it was a good game, but I was like, it's kind of overhyped. But this one actually, I think, looks even better from what I've seen. I'm just like, this is going to be cool. I think this is going to be a really good game.
So when you say the first God of War, do you mean the one where he's in the Norse lands, or do you mean the PS2, like, original God of War?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. The original, or the first one, I mean the last one. the
most recent.
The reboot,
Okay.
yeah, which was, yeah. So not the originals. I haven't played any of those. I watched a buddy of mine play them back in the PS2 generation. One of them or two of them, I don't remember. I remember watching a lot of, killing and stuff, and that was all I remember from that game. It seemed like it was more action heavy and not as deep on the narrative as the reboot, the soft reboot, because
No.
I guess it's all technically canon, so it's not really a reboot. I don't know.
It's a new story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the first set was all just like, angry man kills gods because he's angry.
Now Angry
This
Man
just
has
in.
to be a dad while he kills gods.
Yeah, it was just, this just in, local area man literally too angry to die. Peekaboo!
Jesus, you just hit a civilian.
I think my rescue operation worked.
Must have.
Yeah, I saved one guy.
I think our guns are spoken.
Clear. How you guys holding up?
And how many civilians was that one guy's life worth?
3. By this math.
Okay.
You know.
Our
buy one,
tax
get 3 free.
dollars at work.
Yeah. Buy one, get 3 free sale.
Spider-Man
Anyway.
2 was also revealed for PlayStation 5, is coming in 2023, so that's a little ways off, but it looked pretty good from the trailer. It's got some amount of back and forth between both of the Spider-Man characters that are in the canon so far, obviously Miles and Peter Parker. So that's kind of cool, and it's going to feature Venom as one of the primary antagonists, which is pretty sweet. Either of you big Venom fans?
I always liked Venom the best out of the Spider-Man villains as a kid.
Nice.
I just want this to be a co-op game. Like, doesn't
That
have to
would
be
be
split
super
screen.
sweet, actually.
I just want to be able to play as Miles while somebody else plays as Peter.
That is actually a really cool idea.
Down, you're giving yourself away.
Now I want it to be like a Spider-Verse game, though, like, and add like Spider-Gwen and Spider-Ham and all of them. Just have all sorts of different Spider-Mans.
That would be nice.
that all more or less play the same, but have like, you know, be the difference between Peter and Miles, like that, you know, where Miles has a couple of his own unique abilities and stuff between all of them. I think that would be really cool. So, Sony, if you're listening, take notes and give us a large paycheck.
Call us.
Yeah.
We've got ideas.
And also being developed by Insomniac, who is the developers behind the very well-praised Spider-Man series. They are making a new Wolverine game, which I'm even more hyped about this than I was about the Spider-Man 2, because, like, I liked Spider-Man, I really liked Miles Morales, but, man, Wolverine is my fucking jam, right? So I am all about this.
Wolverine doesn't really have the same movement abilities, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did like an Arkham Asylum kind of thing with it.
That could be interesting. I feel like the games are good enough on just action alone that, you know, you wouldn't really need the traversal. I don't get what all the hype is about the traversal in Spider-Man and Miles Morales. It's like, it's neat to web swing around wherever, but like, whatever. I don't know, I'd be happier with, you know, if the open world design was more interesting than having a neat mechanic with which to traverse a basically empty open world, you know?
Right.
I think development time could have been better spent on actually putting collectibles in that matter. They were a little better about that in Miles Morales, because they made all the collectibles like give you a little bit of lore of Miles's backstory, which I thought that was kind of cool. Because all the ones in the original Spider-Man game for PS4 were just like, and you find a backpack that you left here when you were in high school for some reason, and you get a token, and you can use the token to upgrade your shit. And what does that even mean? Why is any of this pertinent, other than you want me to randomly look around this place so that I can upgrade myself?
I just hope that they bring back the arcade that they had in the original Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was a delight.
In the GameCube one, there was
Yeah.
like a movie tie-in.
The one that was on GameCube and PS2.
Yeah, I remember playing that. That was pretty fun. But yeah, I'm hyped about that Wolverine 2. So let's see. Next piece of news and booze. Before we get into the Nintendo Direct, we also had a random Nintendo Switch update. They gave a new version of the firmware, which added a couple of mostly just little hot fixes and, you know, quality improvements or whatever, like they always do. But also, this one is notable because it added Bluetooth audio support, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Super cool for people like me who bought a Bluetooth adapter.
Right? I didn't buy a Bluetooth adapter or anything, but I kind of thought about it because I'm like, but the thing is, like, I would only use it on the Switch because my Xbox and my PlayStation, I can just, you know, my headphones have a cable too. It's either or, so I can just plug it in to the controller, but I can't plug it into the Switch controller. And obviously, when I'm sitting on my couch, my Switch is like far enough away that that's not a thing that I'm going to do. Right. So I'm actually really excited that they put in the Bluetooth support, and I think it's kind of cool actually that they did it before Microsoft or Sony, because I'm like sitting here with my fancy next gen Xbox and my fancy next gen PlayStation 5, and neither of them can actually connect to my Bluetooth headset that I bought. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Yeah, so I've been happy with that. Apparently, some people are having issues with latency, depending on the headset. Mine's been fine. I guess I'm lucky. I got a headset that doesn't suck or something. I don't know if it's like most. It's probably to do mostly with like the quality of the headset. I don't know. I don't know that much about the kind of hardware that works these, but yeah. So, have you used it yet at all, Crow?
No, not since the update. Like, I have a Bluetooth headset that I was using, but I was doing that with the adapter.
Right.
Shit, we've been spotted.
Yeah,
So
I'd be curious to see how it compares to actually having an adapter, because I guess if latency is an issue with the native Bluetooth, then the adapter still could be useful for some people, depending on their headset, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
But I haven't had any issues with my adapter, so
Yeah.
there's that.
all right, so finally, let's get into the Nintendo Direct, which happened yesterday. They announced it Wednesday, and then yesterday they had a Nintendo Direct. Had all sorts of the greatest announcements ever. By which I mean some pretty cool announcements, and overall it was a fun show. I think there's like right off the bat, the one I'm not gonna go over every little thing again like I didn't with the PlayStation thing, but still we've got more stuff from here than we did from the PlayStation thing, just because it was a lot more interesting stuff, I think, because they didn't take up 30 minutes with Deathloop again. I wanted to like Deathloop, but now it's just been like kind of driven into the ground, and I'm like, okay, just release it already or stop showing it. I don't care which. But they didn't do either. Maybe it's out now. Is Deathloop out yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out last week.
Okay, because I stopped paying attention because they kept hyping it up so much, and I'm just like, stop showing me the same thing. I'm tired of it. But anyways, so I think the biggest announcement here, which this is arguable because there's some other pretty cool announcements, but they announced a new Kirby game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and it is finally Kirby's fucking 3D debut. They're making a 3D Kirby game. It has been 30 fucking years.
And a proper 3D Kirby game, not like one that's modeled in 3D but still works like his 2D games.
Yeah, like all of them lately. Like since Return to Dreamland on the Wii. And I guess technically even before that they had Kirby 64, which sort of started that. These are all pretty good games, you know. I don't think there's been a bad Kirby game. I think there have been some Kirby games that I'm like, yeah, I played that once and now I'm done with it. But, you know, I think this is just ridiculously awesome. Like, when I saw Kirby, like, walking around in 3D for the first time, I was, like, choking back, like, tears of joy in the middle of Qdoba as I was watching the Nintendo Direct. I'm like, I am a grown man. I am not going to cry in public, but god damn it, they're finally doing it.
It looks like Mario Odyssey.
It does have kind of that appeal. I think the world design is kind of cool, though, because the world is like some sort of, like, abandoned civilization. So there's all these empty, like, buildings and stuff, and it kind of reminds me of wandering through the world in Nier Automata, where all the buildings are abandoned, and it's like there were people here long ago that
Right.
you know, a lot of hustle and bustle probably happened here, but now where is it? What's going on? And I think that's a little out of place for a Kirby game, and so I'm super excited to see how that plays into the story and whatever.
Darkest
Breath
Kirby
of the
game.
Wild.
Could be. What was that, Chris?
Kirby Majora's Mask.
Kirby Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. I mean, jumping
much.
to 3D is probably more of a jump for Kirby than open world Zelda, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was a natural progression to go open world with Zelda. Like, I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, Zelda was, like, born to be an open world franchise.
The first game was even open world. Chris's camera has disappeared. That's odd.
We lost him.
It'll be back shortly.
Okay.
It'll be back.
Chris just had to turn off his camera for 5 seconds to get naked or something hilarious.
You're right.
Let's start spreading rumors about him.
Don't
Just
flash
come back
us.
and there's a penis on screen.
You can't flash us. I already flashed Sean earlier.
Yeah,
putting
it's
this on
true.
YouTube.
Crow flashed me on stream
Oh, that's no good.
with
That
his
was
brand
very
new
good.
flashlight.
Yeah.
Bro, you shouldn't flash people on stream.
Well, look, he shouldn't have told me to not do it. I'm like a child. You tell me not to do something, I'm going to do it.
This is technically exactly how it went down.
Technically, exactly.
So another actually pretty cool reveal is that they are adding Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games to the Nintendo Switch Online service. It's more information is coming in October, and I think that's when they said that they're going to come. But it might be later than that. Maybe just the information is coming in October. But they did say that if you want the N64 and Sega Genesis games on your Switch Online, then you have to pay an upgraded tier for those games. And I think for me, like, that's fine, because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's so fucking cheap already. So I'm not that worried about, you know, whatever it'll be, you know, unless it's something egregious. You know, if it's like suddenly jumping to $100 a year for my family subscription instead of $35, then maybe that's a little too high. I don't know.
I bet it'll be like $60 or $70 a year.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know, because it's hard to say. I you know, I don't want to go too far into speculation, because I'm like, I really have no idea how pricing models of streaming subscriptions work, right? So
Right.
it's, you know, I don't know enough business to really give a guess on that, but I think from a consumer level, it's like I think 70 for my family subscription, that's double my price. That's a big jump. That's a big ask for, I mean, some cool games, admittedly. They released the list of the games that are coming at launch. I think there's like 11 of them or something.
Something like that.
And like it's some pretty good games. And then they're like, yeah, then later on they're adding Banjo-Kazooie and F-Zero X and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm excited for all of what's coming, but I think $70 would be a bit of a ask, because it's like that's like I said, doubling my subscription price. I'm like, I'm not sure I'd go that far. I probably would, just because I really want to play Ocarina of Time.
I think 70
I'm a
bucks is fine. I think 70 bucks is the upper limit, but essentially the way I see it, 35 bucks, you're getting the family subscription for the NES and SNES. So they're adding the N64 and Sega Genesis, so you're essentially doubling the cost for doubling the number of consoles.
Yeah. That's
So.
kind of a good way to look at it, I suppose. Because, I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm saying it's like, it's hard to swallow suddenly your subscription is, doubling in price. It's like, when,
Yeah.
I mean, because remember when Netflix started, it was like $10 a month or whatever. And then when they first had to raise their price because costs were going up, they were like, we're going up to $12 a month, and people flipped their shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if, I think double makes sense, but I think it's a hard ask for a lot of people. Like, I'd be I would be hesitant, but I would probably do it. But I think a lot more people would just be like, no, I'm not doing that for, the 3 games I'll play.
Yeah. That's fair.
Another interesting thing I thought was that they're adding Mario 64 to this, which is hot off the heels of, earlier this year they discontinued the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. So that's kind of interesting. And I wonder if that gives any possibility for the other 3D All-Stars games, or by that I mean GameCube and Wii games, to ever come to this subscription service later at another higher tier. I think that could be interesting.
I would assume at some, like, they have such a long-term plan for Nintendo Switch that it makes sense to me, that they would want to do that at some point.
Chris, you're a good man. Drinking dragon's milk like a champ.
I actually bought this as a move-in gift.
Nice.
So, and I'm forgetting just how tasty this was.
Yeah,
Dragon's
that's a good one, because, I mean, you know me, I like milk stouts, and I like anything that's ever been aged in a barrel, so it's, like, right up my alley.
Barrel-aged milk stout, and I think it's technically a barley wine, too, so,
Yeah, dragon's milk is a pretty good one.
We're cool.
All right.
Oh, before we move on to the next thing, I saw a thing on Twitter that sums it up perfectly. A phrase that I never expected to see in my entire life is we're getting a Nintendo official Sega Genesis controller.
That is kind of hilarious. Because I was thinking of that, like, imagine telling a kid in the 90s, right? Like, hey, someday you're going to be able to buy a Sega Genesis controller to play Sega Genesis games on the newest Nintendo system.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, what?
I think it would have blown 10-year-old me's mind.
Yeah.
You were the Sega kid, weren't you, Chris?
I grew up with the Sega Genesis. That was the first console I ever played.
I had a Sega Genesis. It was mostly a Nintendo, but,
Yeah, it was weird, because I had several things. Like, I remember having an Atari in my house, but I don't remember ever playing it. I grew up mostly with Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and then later on we got Genesis and Dreamcast, and so yeah, I had kind of a large mix the whole time, and then going through the PlayStation 2 generation, I had a GameCube and a PS2 and an original Xbox, and then the next generation I had an Xbox 360 and a Wii. I never got on the PS3 train, but, I feel like I didn't really miss very much from the PS3 train. Even, like, looking at it now, I'm like, I could go back and, like, buy a PS3 and get all the games I missed, like Dark Souls, and that's it.
Dark Souls you can get on Steam.
And the Gundam Dynasty Warriors.
I mean, most things you can get on Steam nowadays.
Yeah.
Gundam Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing, and those were not words I expected to fit in a sentence together.
Yeah, there was a Dynasty Warriors Gundam. It was like one of their first crossover Dynasty Warriors that I remember seeing advertised. And I remember being like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! I'm gonna totally buy it." And then it was PS3 exclusive, so I never did. But I was like, "Oh, if I ever get a PS3, But then there was never anything exclusive that I thought, "Oh man, I need that." Buy a console for that.
Yeah, the main reason I had a PS3 was because Metal Gear.
Yeah. I don't like stealth games that much, so,
Let's hijack it and divert its payload to the rebels.
I'm not much of a stealth gamer, but Metal Gear was an exception.
Love Metal Gear.
I guess if I had an exception to that rule, it would be Tenchu. I really like the Tenchu series. I haven't played one of those in a while. I don't think they've made a Tenchu game in a while. But those were all pretty cool. I like being a ninja. Anyways, next thing from the thing was Splatoon 3 got a gameplay and story trailer, and apparently the story involves mammals returning to the planet, which is just kind of some crazy bonkers shit. I don't know. I don't follow all the lore of Splatoon, but it's pretty funny and interesting sometimes. I have a buddy on TikTok that does like TikToks of Splatoon lore. And it's like the only TikTok I ever watch, because every time I try to get on TikTok, I'm like, what the fuck even is this? I don't understand your comedy. Is this trying to be comedy? I can't tell.
TikTok is basically spyware. And you know that they're going to put the best ones on YouTube usually.
Yeah. I watch my buddy's TikToks on his Facebook page. So, for what that's worth. But check out Cheesy C on TikTok or Facebook if you want to get down on your Splatoon lore. He's an awesome dude. He won a game award. That was cool.
Really?
Yeah, get the Game Awards a few years ago. They had a TikTok contest to do gaming related TikToks, and he won. And I was like, dude, I know that guy. And Jeff Keighley just said his name. That's amazing.
That tango's down.
Good for him.
Yeah, so either are you into Splatoon 3? I don't think Chris plays much shooters in general.
With my new, so I finally got
Mounted weapon.
a larger monitor setup and a 2-monitor setup, and what I've noticed is that with the nice bigger monitor that's curved, is I get way more nauseous playing shooters than I used to.
Ah,
So,
that's terrible.
yeah. So it's
Splatoon is third person. Are third person shooters as bad?
no third person is fine
Okay.
usually.
Usually.
Yeah, so Crow, you played some Splatoon, didn't you?
Yeah, I played a little bit of Splatoons 1 and 2. I am not good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I missed it on Splatoon 1 because I kind of wanted to get it and like play with people, but I didn't. It came out at a time when I was like, I have a baby. I have no time to games, so I didn't.
Let me get in position.
Yeah.
Lost my target. Roger. Target acquired. Target marked. We've got enemy activity nearby.
Chris keeping up with the comments there.
I may as well not totally interrupt everything.
Even though you interrupt it by distracting me with more comments. I'm not ignoring you, Tayari. I'm trying to keep the show going, so sorry if I come across that way sometimes. If you're old now, then I am too, because I don't understand what the fuck TikTok is about. I don't know. I only just recently figured out what the word yeet means too, so I don't understand the new generation.
How recently? I gotta know.
I
asked the rebels to recon the area.
I went camping this summer,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm not entirely sure I understand it still, but my buddy Peyton described himself as yeeting that bitch out of the water as he yanked a fish up out of the water with his ball. So
It just means to hurl with great force.
okay,
it's fair.
so to chuck wasn't good enough, or to hurl.
You are violent.
The Lord
Violent
eateth,
chucking.
the Lord yoinketh away.
Nice.
I
Bayonetta
was heard.
3 got a trailer and it releases next yeet. Yeet. I apparently made a typo there. Next year. There. I fixed my document even though I'm about to delete it.
I think you have to drink.
I'll drink.
Releases next yeet.
I'll drink to yeet. Ing.
Good shooting. Clean up and move on.
Yeah, for the longest time I thought yeet was like, oh yeah, cool, let's yeet. No idea.
You're trying.
I am trying. And now I'm choking
dying.
on cinnamon. And I'm laughing at myself while I'm trying to choke on cinnamon, which is not really helping me choke down the cinnamon. I'll wash it
Yeah.
down with this cinnamon Mountain Dew. Oh, wait.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Cinnamon and gin.
Yep. I still don't taste much of the
Cinnamon.
gin. I feel like these are both fairly strong flavors, I guess, and this gin is not incredibly strong. Anyways, I just said something about Bayonetta 3. Either of you big into Bayonetta?
Not really. I was still mad. Like, I still hold a slight grudge over when Bayonetta was added to Smash
Uh-huh.
because of the Smash poll. It was specifically the European vote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that's very selfish American of me to say, But also, I didn't care about Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy for
Who
Bayonetta.
did you want
fans.
added instead?
I don't remember. I was mad, but I don't remember why.
I can tell you who I've
Your
wanted since, like, the moment I played No More Heroes. I've wanted Travis in Smash. I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
why is he not there?
He is, technically.
I mean, don't get me started.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. I remember being upset because the Bayonetta wasn't even top 3 in any other poll versus whoever the person was that I wanted that I can't remember anymore was top 3 in every single poll.
Mm-hmm.
So
Must have been Lloyd because you love Tales of Symphonia because you're such a big anime fan.
yeah, absolutely.
We've been
As
over
we
that.
established on Twitter, whatever you say about me is automatically true in fact.
Yes, everything I say becomes part of Crow's lore.
Yeah. Otherwise, that would make you a liar, which you are definitely not.
I'm, of course, not a liar. Yeah, so.
Awesome. I can put this to use.
So, ask me anything about Crow on Twitter, and it will automatically be added to his lore.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Bayonetta looks neat. I've meant to play the game because I've never heard any bad stuff about it. As like it looks kind of cool, crazy actiony thing. Platinum also did Nier Automata, and that was a ridiculously awesome action game with a really awesome Square Enix story too. You know, go with it. So I would be excited to check these out if I had any fucking time.
It's fair.
Speaking of Smash, they revealed that they aren't going to reveal the last Smash Fighter today, but they revealed that they are going to reveal the Smash Fighter on October 5th.
He revealed that there's no reveal, but there will be a reveal that's very revealing in the near future.
Yeah. So, yeah, last Super Smash Bros. Fighter will be confirmed on October 5th, and it's going to be in the last Sakurai Presents trailer. So, it the way that they're saying it just, like, felt all final, and I'm like, I knew it was going to be final, but now it really feels more final than it has before, and I'm just like, man, Smash is going to end. What's going on? Smash doesn't end. That's not how this works. But, you know, eventually it does have to come to an end. So,
There'll be another Smash.
yeah, I'm sure there will be.
taken out of-
But, you know, there won't be another Smash Ultimate. You know,
There will be a Smash Penultimate or Smash.
Right.
Smash pretty good.
There will be Smash Sword and Smash Shield. You'll have
Yeah,
to-
right.
Smash doesn't suck much. But yeah, any characters you're pining for right now, or any predictions?
Bonus up.
I just want another Zelda character. I don't particularly care who.
How about Link?
You're a madman, and I'm in.
Tingle.
I killed Tingle in my fanfiction.
Yes, we're well aware.
Did you ever check that out, Chris? That was part of your punishment too, and you skipped out on it.
I spared myself the torment, although I can't avoid it forever.
Yeah,
It's
you'll
true.
have to rewatch the replay or something. That was a fun time.
Wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
I think the best possible reveal that they could do is Travis touchdown. And here's my reason for that, right? Because we already know, like, he's a Mii costume that came out as DLC, and everybody's saying, oh, that deconfirms it. But every other thing that they've ever said that deconfirms that they could be a Smash character, like, has just, all of those rules have been broken. Because Sakurai doesn't play by any rules. So I feel like Travis getting into Smash would be like, here's the last character. I'm breaking every rule that you made. Just
Right.
like bitch slaps you as he leaves the room.
Here's the last barrier to break.
I could use that same logic to say they're adding Sam's to Smash instead of just keeping him as a Mii Gunner costume.
Or any me character.
Mhm.
What I'm hoping for, just because I'm the type of person who wants to see the world burn, and it would literally break the entirety of the internet. I want to see Waluigi added. I want
No.
them to make it seem like it's
Don't do it.
somebody else, and then Waluigi fucking comes in.
Don't do it.
Good.
The internet would be set ablaze.
Put Waluigi in. It's his time.
Do it, you cowards.
It's Waluigi time.
Don't do it. I hate him. I hate him. I won't accept it. Not
It
my
needs to be
Smash.
done.
He's a first party character.
Travis is a
The
fourth and a half
exclusive.
party character. He was Wii exclusive at one point,
yeah.
and
I mean,
then
he's still
that game
Nintendo
came to PlayStation 3.
Oh, did it? Oh, I
It
didn't
did,
know
yeah. They remade No More Heroes for PlayStation 3, actually.
Huh.
Maybe
Learn something
also
every day.
No More Heroes 2. I don't remember. Because I didn't have a PlayStation 3.
Let's see.
All right. Next thing. I thought this was a really strange announcement, but it's also kind of awesome. Knights of the Old Republic is coming to Nintendo Switch November 11th.
The original one, too.
The original one, yeah. I feel like this is cool because I love this game, but this is really weird because, like, last week they announced a next-gen remake. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, so I guess, no, you don't want to put it on Switch? You're just giving us the
The original.
original? I mean, I
don't
guess
know.
it's better than nothing. But now I'm like, do I want to hold out for the remake? Because I don't know if I want to replay an old game twice in fairly rapid succession. So if I'm going to replay it, I'd rather replay the remake, but I'd also rather play it on Switch. So I'm like, what do I do? I'll probably wait for the remake.
Yeah, I would also wait. Like, I myself am not going to get it because I don't care about Star Wars all that much. But I'd probably end up recommending people, like, unless you don't have the consoles, just wait for the remake.
So,
Mhm.
Knights of the Old Republic is an old BioWare RPG, back when, BioWare was cool.
Yeah.
Uh, so, that is something I might pick up on GOG, not on Switch, but,
Right.
the sentiment stands.
hmm I think it's already on Steam or whatever.
So I did pick it up on Steam, but it's so bugged out and not adapted for modern systems, I was unable to play it.
Lame.
Very not cash money of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Project Triangle Strategy has a release date for March 2022, and its official title is confirmed. It is no longer Project Triangle Strategy. That was their pending title. The new official title is Triangle Strategy.
Yeah,
I feel like I called this,
you did.
and I'm amazing.
Yep.
Because I said that it was coming. I was just like, when they announced this, I'm like, they're just going to drop the project partway through, like, before they release it, like they did with Project Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's just their new thing, and it's hilarious to me.
that's their MO. And I
Yeah.
am for it. Triangle Strategy is a cool name.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a little on the nose, but, it works. So I'm super excited for this, because I love Octopath Traveler. I'm not big into tactical RPGs, actually, but from the demo, I was like, this is doing enough unique stuff that I think it'll be interesting, even though it's not, like, my genre of choice. And I feel like if the story is anything even close to as awesome as Octopath's was, then I'm just going to be totally sucked into the world. So I am hotly anticipating this game.
You're not much of a tactical RPG guy,
No.
unfortunately. But
Yeah, my
than
tactical
Fire
RPG is Fire Emblem. Yeah, that's like the series that I love, and it's not because it's a tactical RPG. It's because the characters are great.
you
I mean-
like the visual novel elements.
Roll.
It essentially just looks like if Square Enix made Fire Emblem Three Houses, or just a Fire Emblem game in general, I guess. That's the vibe that I get. But I'm for it.
Kinda.
I'm absolutely gonna get it when it comes out.
Just over here hoping for the localization of Lapusel Ragnarok.
Nah.
Hey, Chris. Deltarune
Yeah.
Chapter 2 came out.
Yes.
It's
Deltarune
added
Chapter-
as free DLC to Chapter 1 if you have it on Switch. And it also dropped for other platforms like a week ago, but it also dropped on Switch, which is kind of cool. I think it dropped only on PC first, so I think this is the only console it's available on. Is that right? I'm not sure.
So it dropped on PC. I haven't, and because I have a PC, I just haven't kept up with the other consoles here. But I'm glad to hear it's dropped on Switch as well. So Switch people who have a Switch can enjoy it if they don't have a PC for some reason.
Yeah. Or if they just, like to play on Switch, because Switch
And
is cool.
I just want to say it's been about
Sniper. Top
2
of the tower.
years since Chapter 1 dropped.
Okay.
So at this rate, we'll have the entire rest of the game by, I want to say, 2030, 2032, something like that.
Spotted one
Give
with
it about a decade.
Yeah.
Did they say how many it's going to be by the end of it?
There's going to be 7 chapters. He said, Toby Fox, the creator of Deltarune,
Roger. Target acquired.
has said
Ready to fire.
that he plans to release chapters 3 through 5 as a standalone pack next.
Okay.
He does not know when that will be released, and then after that, chapter 6, and then chapter 7.
Okay.
7 chapters, jeez.
So
Yeah.
with the 7, are the chapters like long?
I want to say about 6 hours to get through chapter 2,
Keep the guns down.
and I want to say that I spent about the same amount of time on chapter 1.
Okay. So by the end of it, it will actually be a fairly lengthy game, because I was thinking, like, the way that I thought I had it described to me was that, like, the whole thing would be, like, as long as Undertale, which would have been a lot shorter. So I was like, I'll just wait for the whole thing. But if it's actually that much content, then maybe it would be easier to do it, piece by piece instead.
One of these.
Yeah. No, Undertale seems to be, I'd call it like an 8-hour or 10-hour game. This
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deltarune's looking more like a 50-hour game
Yeah.
once it's completed.
So, is Deltarune directly related to Undertale?
So Deltarune, because I have annoyed the shit out of people talking about Undertale and Deltarune, Deltarune is kind of an alternate universe to Undertale, where a lot of the Undertale characters are there, but they're somewhat different. So if you recognize if there was a character you liked in Undertale, chances are they're also in Deltarune. They're just
But it's
an alternate universe version of them.
not the same canonicity. What the hell's going on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, anything you did in Undertale is Undertale and Deltarune are still separate worlds.
Gotcha.
Also, it is one of those rare games that fucked with me super hard because it asks you for your name, and then it told me that it wasn't going to use my name, and then the main character's name ended up being named Chris anyway. So
Huh.
Was
I
that
got-
on
I got
purpose,
thrown
or
for a loop.
is his name just randomly the same as yours?
his name is Chris, but it's spelled with a K.
Okay.
Wild.
That's funny.
It was meant to be. Toby Fox was listening.
He's like,
This
I know
guy.
this guy called Chris, and he's listening. Chocobo GP was announced. It's coming as a Switch exclusive next year. It's a fucking Final Fantasy kart racer. Apparently there was another one of these on the 3DS and another one on PlayStation, and I had no idea. But this looks like pretty wild. It's like so just Mario Kart with like fucking Final Fantasy skin. Like you can play as what's the big knight guy from Final Fantasy 9?
Steiner.
Yeah, Steiner is one of the characters, and you can be a Chocobo and Moogle, and there's... It looks like there's going to be a bunch of different characters. So I think this is actually a kind of a neat little game. I don't know that I need a non-Mario Kart kart racer.
No.
As shitty as that sounds, I'm just like, I already got Mario Kart.
Yeah,
know?
like
Looks like they're including a bunch of Final Fantasy 9 characters because this game kind of has a cutesy art style.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to include characters that kind of fit that mold. Not saying Final Fantasy 9 was necessarily a cutesy game, but if you compare it to Final Fantasy 7 and 8, it was definitely lighter in tone.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so I want to be, like, excited for this, but I'm not sure if I am yet. But, you know, if it comes out, like, in a window where nothing else is coming out, then I could see myself just picking it up just for shits and giggles and, you know, as a, you know, fun hangout game.
Yeah, I'll have to see. What it's like.
Yeah.
And
Time will
then
tell.
I gotta admit, I've been reading ahead, and I know this is like the big news everyone's already known about.
And
this.
booze?
Yeah, the big news and booze. Almost.
Booze.
All right, so yeah, the final Nintendo Direct announcement that we're going over today. The final announcement in the actual Direct was Bayonetta 3, but we've already been over that. But the final one that we're going over, because I thought we'd end on a ridiculous note, they announced in the Nintendo Direct the cast of the Super Mario movie, which is releasing next year. They announced it's releasing in December next year.
December 21st.
Yeah. So now this is a wild casting. It's not the full casting, obviously, but the big main characters are all confirmed. Chris Pratt as Mario, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, and wait for it, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
So the Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Now the crack about Donkey Kong smokes weed makes sense. And also the crack about Jack Black Bowsette.
I asked the rebels to do a recon of the area.
Ah. Why do I feel like that's inevitably going to be exactly what Jack Black does at Halloween?
I got eyes on the weapon.
Doesn't that sound like exactly what he would
It
do?
does.
That sounds like a Jack Black thing to do.
He is that kind of guy.
I also now get the crack about the 1987. When was the old Super Mario, the Bob Hoskins Super Mario Brothers movie made? That one being referred to as the good Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah. This is hard to gauge because I'm like, individually, I pretty much like all of these actors. I don't have, like, none of these actors are like people that I'm like, oh, I just watch their movies and I actually don't like. Yeah, I can't think of a movie with any of these actors that I haven't, like, just liked pretty well.
Still,
I'm not very familiar with Keegan-Michael Key. He's more of a comedian, I think. In Anya Taylor-Joy, I've seen in, like, one movie. But she was also in The Queen's Gambit, which everybody's talking about in Netflix. So like, this is a good cast. Like, if you just had this as a cast and you didn't know it was Mario, like, I would just be like, oh, this is a pretty good cast. I wonder what this movie is about. And then you slap on the Mario, and you're like, wait, hold on, what? Star-Lord is Mario?
Yeah, they're basically the same person.
I think Jack Black as Bowser and Charlie Day as Luigi comes closest.
Yeah, I think those ones kind of work because I feel like Charlie Day, in everything that I've seen him in, he's just like some random character in the background, so I feel like that's perfect for Luigi. That's a sick burn to you Luigi fans. No, I like Luigi. He's great. But like he's
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, I feel like for some reason that's going to work. Even though I'm not totally sure how it makes sense, I feel like that's going to work. I think Jack Black will do a good Bowser.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly he'll do with it, but I think he could do a good job with it. But Chris Pratt is like a really weird casting choice for Mario.
I think that's the one thing that everybody's kind of hung up on. Like, that's the wild card.
Yeah.
All the other casting choices. Also, I learned today that John Cena is going to be in the movie as Yoshi, so don't know how I feel about that.
For reals?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
According to my staff, I didn't bother fact checking because, like, you know what? This cast is already absurd enough that why not?
Right? I'm like,
Feel free
Why
to double
does-
check me.
I'm like, why does Yoshi need a voice? But at the same time, why does Donkey Kong need a voice, right? You know,
Hello, Mario.
and
Do you
Hollywood
have any
loves
bananas for me.
Oh, I think he was Yoshi the Bear in Doolittle.
I don't know.
I feel like that makes more sense because I'm like, wait, hold on. Yeah, so yeah, I'm excited for this movie, but I don't expect much of it. I really don't know what to expect from it. If it's good, I will be pleasantly surprised, and if it is a train wreck, I will be so fucking hyped for that, because I love that kind of shit. But I'm afeared because, like, I feel like Illumination is not a great studio to work with, but I also think it's interesting that Shigeru Miyamoto actually seems to be working very closely with them. So I'm like, I trust him, but he's not a movie maker, and Illumination makes, like, not very good movies most of the time. I don't know what the fuck to make of this.
I will say Shigeru Miyamoto really liked the Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins, and I watched that movie not too long ago.
Mhm.
And on rewatch as an adult, I actually really enjoyed that movie.
I did
It's so
too. I actually
fucking
watched
great.
that a few months ago. I just, like, on a whim bought it on DVD because a podcast I follow is actually talking about it regularly because they talk about video game movies. Check out Virtual Theater. It's an awesome, just weird podcast about video game movies. But yeah, they kept talking about it, and I was like, I need to watch this again. And, like, after a rewatch, I'm just like, this is so hype. Like, I can't even call it a bad movie, right? It's like,
not a bad movie.
it's its own weird ass thing, but I wouldn't call it bad.
The entire plot of it makes sense. It's like a trip to watch.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have like down moments. It's not like it's unexciting or like boring.
And it's oddly hype when you see a character and you're like, what the fuck is up with this character? And then it's like a character from the video game that you didn't recognize because it's like, just like Toad. Like, you could not have guessed that was Toad, or the Goombas. Goombas
Like
look
the
fucking
Goomba-
crazy.
The Goomba dancing scene.
Yeah.
Who could have seen that one coming? So, yeah, I want to see how it compares. I want to see how it compares to that.
Yeah. So the only thing I was thinking about this is when I saw that Seth Rogen is playing Donkey Kong, I was just like imagining Donkey Kong talking, and now I can't stop imagining the old Donkey Kong animated series. That's like what I'm thinking in my head.
The really terrible Donkey Kong animated series.
Yes, I remember watching that when it originally aired, and just like as a child, I was like, "Why is this so bad?" I was actively aware of how bad it was at like the age of 9 or whatever when it came out.
All I can think of when thinking of Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is just that laugh coming out of Donkey Kong's mouth. Why don't you go ahead and play it off, John?
Perfect. Yeah, so let's get into our video game topic here. Now that we are officially done with our news and booze. Alright, so the video game topic for the week is all just gonna be hot takes, because I'm lazy and I thought that would be a fun, random, stupid bullshit conversation that we could have on our last day together for a while. Because also at the start of the podcast, I forgot to, so I have to drink again. I forgot to say that we're going to be on a on and off kind of weird basis for the next several weeks.
Semi-hiatus.
Yes, semi-hiatus. And, you know, we might have a podcast here and there. I might do a random stream here and there, but it's not going to be as regularly as we usually would like, because I am going to Pittsburgh next week and playing at their Renaissance Festival the next 2 weekends, and then I'm going to Sarasota, Florida to play at the Sarasota Medieval Fair.
Yeah. You good, bud?
Yeah. So I'm going to be playing bagpipes basically every weekend for the next 2 months somewhere else in the world where I can't just stream. So that's going to be really good for me because, you know, I like playing bagpipes and I like it when people pay me to play bagpipes. So that's great. But it's awkward for streaming. So anyways, yeah, so what's your hot takes, guys? What's your hottest video game take you got? Or your third hottest or something. So we don't blow our load right all at the start.
Morally great video games or just video game hot takes in general?
Video game hot takes. We already did that. I just forgot to update the document.
Oh, okay.
So, there. There you go, Chris. Quit reading the notes that I didn't fix. So yeah, just any old hot take, you know, just unpopular opinions, whatever you want to call them, and I think we could have a rollicking good time just talking about weird, stupid opinions we have.
Mario is extremely overrated and does not need to be as universally loved and be the face of the franchise like he is.
Like the games or the character?
Yes.
I mean,
like, don't get me wrong.
As a character,
games
he's
are
not
good.
even really a character. He's just like there, and he saves the day, right? He doesn't say stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he, as a character, he has no character.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like, Link has more character somehow. And Link isn't even a plumber. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
actually kind of agree with that. Like, I don't hate Mario or anything, but yeah, he kind of gets a lot of hype. Specifically, I think Mario 64 gets way more hype than it really deserves.
Is a
Yeah,
broken nest.
I'd add to the hot take. Mario 64 was an okay first blush at like a platformer. It shouldn't be held up as the golden example of platformers,
Yeah.
especially because it has a lot of awkwardness that comes from being one of the first of its kind. It doesn't make it a bad game. It just means, hey, we made better games since then. Super Mario Sunshine is a better game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I didn't actually enjoy Super Mario Sunshine very much with I didn't play a whole lot of it, but I just felt like it was really boring the whole time I was playing. I played for maybe a couple hours, and I was just really bored the whole time. Because I got it on when I got the 3D All Stars collection, and that's the first time I ever played it. And it's like the platforming segments don't seem like they're badly designed or stuff, but like the platforming is like hardly any of the game for the intro. The intro is largely just walking around random areas, maybe doing light, like jumping up one set of stairs or something, platforming, and squirting shit with the water.
I will say that I definitely prefer Super Mario Galaxy to either of those games because it focuses on the platforming and less on exploration, which doesn't really scratch the exploration itch.
Yeah, and I feel like the little exploration within any of those games, I feel like Galaxy just did it better. It was just more fun to traverse the little moons and stuff than it was to jump on the random platforms, in whichever other one. Yeah. Go ahead, Crow.
I was gonna say, I think that is one thing that can be said for Mario games. They do get better as they go. Like, with each new successive Mario game, it is better than the last. So Mario does have a positive as far as just evolving the franchise to be better than the previous game.
With my experience, I feel like that's definitely true, at least of the 3D games.
I'm open to get to a better.
Because I feel like I liked Mario 64 less than I liked Sunshine, less than I liked Galaxy, less than I liked 3D World, less than I liked Odyssey. And those are the 3D games, and that's the order they came out in. And yeah, Odyssey is a great game. I really like Odyssey. I think that's the only 3D Mario game that I would say I really like. I liked 3D World well enough because not because it was like an outstanding amazing game, but it's just a wacky fun game to play with 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
So for what that is, I'm like, that's pretty good. But it did feel kind of missing out on the exploration in like Mario Odyssey. I think Mario Odyssey blends the exploration with the platforming better than any Mario game has.
Yeah. But there's also just more to do.
Let's go. Let's go.
I don't know. Mario and Pikachu, I think, are very overrated.
I like Pikachu better than Mario. What do you think of that?
That's fair. It's a fair sentiment. Like, Pikachu's not bad by any means. I understand why he gets a lot of love. My problem is there is almost 1,000 other Pokemon.
Right.
Rebels will pick it up.
You count secondary forms like Galarian and stuff, I think it is over 1,000.
I gotta say, another hot take.
Ooh.
Sure.
Getting spicy.
Pokemon has definitely really It's not really a hot take. It's just more like something to say to aggravate people. Pokemon's definitely opened up, uh, like whole new avenues of furry porn.
Yeah, absolutely. So, here's a hot take. Not this isn't mine. This is Perseus's hot take. Um, Pokemon, especially with these most recent generations, and as time goes on, continually and more egregiously just directly rips off Digimon. Like, Pokemon is just straight up ripping a lot of Digimon ideas, including these new fusion Pokemon that they're coming out with.
I'll call the
They're
rebels
doing
so they call it
fusion?
out later.
Is that's
Yeah.
one of the card game things, isn't it?
No, it's in the actual games. With the Sword and Shield expansion, there was a new legendary Pokemon called Calyrex.
Huh.
And I can't remember the other two Pokemon, but there's two other legendaries that he can fuse with. And by fusion, I just mean, like, he rides them, basically.
Okay.
But they're treated as a separate Pokemon. Um, and even, like, further back, you could go and look at Necrozma and how he fuses with Solgaleo and Lunala to create different versions.
Right. Or actually, before that, you have Kyurem and Reshiram and Zekrom to get the different forms of Kyurem.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like with this next generation, when they do inevitably come out with Gen 9, I think they're just going to start doing, like, whole hog Pokemon fusion.
I guess that's possible. Yeah, because that was a thing, like, even back as far as, like, the original Digimon series. And I definitely drew parallels with Digivolving and when they introduced Mega Evolving.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah, absolutely.
it goes into a Mega form. And I think one of the highest, not the highest, but like one of the upper tiers of Digimon forms was even called the Mega form.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because first you got your rookie, and then your champion, and then ultimate, and then mega, right? I think that's it. And then I
Something
think
like
there's a fifth one sometimes if bullshit is involved. They have to
don't
do
remember.
crazy shenanigans or something.
Yeah, Perseus was the Digimon guy. Like, if you want to know anything, and I mean anything about Digimon, ask that man. Just be prepared. Like, pull up a seat and get comfortable. You're gonna be there for like 3 hours.
Nice. It's been a few years, but I rewatched the original Digimon series when they put it on Netflix, and that series actually holds up surprisingly well. I'm like, this is actually legit just a great anime.
Absolutely.
I could not complain about it. I'm like, I like the original Pokemon anime, but like, it's something that I would recommend to Pokemon fans.
Right.
If somebody said recommend me an anime, I might recommend Digimon. I probably wouldn't recommend Pokemon as an anime, even though that's what it is.
Right.
I don't think of it like that. I think of it as a tie-in cartoon, which is
Yeah.
I think the difference is, wasn't Digimon originally an anime and Pokemon was originally the game?
I believe
And
so.
now the series of games?
I know Pokemon was originally the game, and now the series of games. I don't know about Digimon, but that sounds like it could be a thing.
That I'm not sure about.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Digimon games, super excited about Digimon Survive. Sad that it's been delayed again, but
So it
When it-
was, okay, I'm looking it up now. It was originally a series of virtual pets.
Okay. I
and
feel like I
then-
remember like the Digimon like Gigapets. I don't know if they were like Gigapets or if they were their own thing. Remember Gigapets? Fuck, we're old.
We're done here.
Chia Pet.
Rebels descended
I mean,
from
I
the
remember a lot of those virtual pets.
Mm-hmm.
Tamagotchis, yo.
Yeah.
Making a comeback. I still have like a dozen of them in my store.
Nice.
So, if you consider Virtual Pets like a video game, I guess you can say that they both started off as video games. They were just
different forms.
different forms. Yeah, like Pokemon being almost a full-fledged RPG.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Good to go.
All right, so Chris, do you have an actual hot take, or are you just gonna try and get the furries mad?
I don't think that would piss off any furry with that.
Right.
Sensible.
Furries would probably just be like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You right.
Knowing the one furry that I know, that's exactly what he would say.
Let's see. Feel like there are so many. What is it?
Let's find
A
this
lot of
this
the
pair
way
fast.
AAA games are produced ultimately end up making games worse because they are after a profit motive, not after a good game.
Yeah.
That's
And
fair.
I don't feel like that's controversial to say in this company. I don't feel like that's controversial to say if the person's given it much in the way of thought.
Yeah.
I feel like it might be controversial to say to someone who has serious stakes involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of one of the things that's holding back Mario for Crow. Because, like, Mario could have, like, all sorts of awesome, crazy stuff. Because there was a time when Mario games were more experimental and did crazy, like Paper Mario was awesome. And I think if they had leaned more into the weirdness, like, and just doing different stuff, I think Mario would be in a different place. But it kind of became their Mickey Mouse, where it's like, it's too sacred to, touch or defile, so we have to make it as, like, clean and pure as we possibly can, because with Mickey Mouse, like, he was doing all sorts of weird shit in his old cartoons, but now you watch a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and he is just a goody two-shoes doing the good thing in every possible situation. And I feel like Mario is kind of the same. And, like, Mario Odyssey kind of thought outside the box in terms of game design, but as for the character, it still falls into that trap.
Like, what was it, in Donkey Kong Jr. or Donkey Kong 3? I think they were talking about how Mario would, like, beat Donkey Kong or, like, beat Donkey Kong's son. Which is why you were, like, I think you were playing Donkey Kong's son. But yeah, let me look this up. I don't want to just talk out of my ass here.
Meanwhile, Crow's over here shooting us all some steak dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yummy.
So, let's see. The plot was Donkey Kong Jr., also simply called Jr., or abbreviated Donkey Kong Jr., or DK Jr., is trying to rescue his father, Donkey Kong, who has been imprisoned. Donkey Kong's cage is guarded by Mario, and its only appearance as an antagonist in a Nintendo video game. Let's rescue. Let's see.
Frag out.
Yeah, I could have sworn there was something worse there. There was also, but Nintendo is kind of funny in that Nintendo is kind of like the Disney of video games.
Crow just shot a cow in the head through a cow's ass.
Wow.
They don't seem to register headshots on cattle.
Huh. Odd how that works.
You can just drop them with whatever.
Yeah, my headshots are just going right through them.
Nintendo is kind of the Disney of video games and both how they treat intellectual property. Well, really, just kind of that. And
Yeah.
I don't think
like-
they're as egregious as Disney, but I kind of, yeah, I agree with that take, kind of.
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
they're not nearly as all-consuming,
Yeah.
but they definitely are.
It's up.
I can see big parallels there.
Yep. All right. My hot take is Kingdom Hearts sucks. It's fucking awful.
I was okay with it. I don't
Like,
mind
what
it.
is okay about that game?
It's like a
Disney?
passable action RPG where it's you get to see what is it? The fuck is that guy's name? James Woods play Hades again, reprise his role and get some new lines. So I guess it can't be all bad. But
I don't know. I would not call it an action RPG from what I played of it. I would call it a attempted game.
It's
a very awkward
Yeah,
because it has kind of that menu combat thing going on, where you're having to like switch through options in real time with the D-pad as you're running around.
See, that's when you need the N64 controller, so you can hold it with the, you can move with the stick while you're pushing the buttons with the other hand, right?
I think they needed to do the I think you had to use the DualShock with the analog stick and the D-pad there, but still it was very awkward to control. And then
Yeah, the controls in
storyline-
that are literally one of the most clunky piece of shit games I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's so bad to play. It feels just terrible to move around in that game. Even in the PS4 remaster, it still just feels like crap. Movement is horrible. And in a game where you need to move a lot, like a 40-hour RPG or however long it is, movement should feel at least not horrible. That is the minimum. And it feels terrible. And like the all I did in the remaster was like, I wasn't even going to play it, but my wife got it and she was like, she asked me for help with a mini game. It's like you're supposed to race this guy from one end of the island to another. And I tried this game like 3 or 4 times and just the controls were so clunky that I could not like get it. And like if I had sat there and got used to the clunky shitty controls, I bet I could have did it, but I was just like, nope. It's not worth it. And
That's fair.
I
I don't remember, honestly, any action in that game as long as I played it. I got up to, I don't know how far it goes, but I got up to, like, just past the Queen of Hearts' area, which I guess is a fair way into the game. And I remember everything I did was just finding some shit that was lost in whatever area I was in. Everything was a fetch quest.
Chopper incoming.
And that was such, like, annoying-ass game design. And the entire time I was wondering also, like, why do I give enough of a fuck about whoever asked me to fetch whatever I'm fetching to fetch it? The story never gave me a good reason to care about the story, and the entire time I was playing it, I felt like the only reason that people like this game is because it shoehorns in as many Disney cameos as it does.
Yeah, probably.
So
We got a mount.
I think it has the advantage of having both the Final Fantasy characters and the Disney characters in it, and then people who like either of those things end up liking that better. And the first game, in particularly, has the advantage of not having the absolutely dumb buck storyline that later games develop.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming this way.
And it still ends up being clunky, hard to control, and the platforming is not tight like you would want it to be.
Yeah.
So, like, I like the games. I like the Kingdom Hearts that I played, but
Opening fire.
I think the criticisms are fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for the series as a whole, like that's all relating to Kingdom Hearts 1, but I don't think the series as a whole is that great from what I've played. I have not played all of the games. First of all, I think it is total bullshit that you have to play like random mobile games and every spin-off to get the whole story. That's fucked up. That's a cash grab shit. But
I called the rebels for more.
also, like, I played one game on PS2, and it was, like, I forget what it was called, but, like, the entire battle system was, like, random feeling, because it was, like, this card battle thing integrated with the fighting, and it made no sense. And you were in, like, these...
Chain of Memories.
Yeah,
I think is
that
what it
sounds
was
right.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear over here.
And it was just, again, totally unfun to play. And I couldn't, like, I'm not sure any story, as good as it could possibly be, would justify how unfun both of those games were.
It's fair.
I've also
that's
played a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 3, and at the very least, the battle system in that game is okay. It's like, okay, I can control myself okay. It's not that bad to, it doesn't feel actively terrible to control. So it's a clear step up. But again, I felt like what I saw of the story was just more, hey, let's go to another Disney universe. Let's go see Toy Story and Wreck-It Ralph. And I'm like, I like Toy Story and Wreck-It Ralph, but, like, do I need to go, like I'd rather have, like, a Wreck-It Ralph game.
Yes,
Like, literally give me the Fix-It Felix arcade game, and I would pay $60 for that before I would pay $60 for a Kingdom Hearts game.
Yes, but think about it this way. Kingdom Hearts ties together Disney and Marvel. Sonic was in Wreck-It Ralph 2. Therefore, Sonic is connected to the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Therefore, Sonic is connected to the Marvel franchise. Therefore, Sonic is the next member of the Avengers. Done.
I would watch
I
that
don't
movie.
think that makes things better. I think that makes things. I like Sonic, but I think that makes things worse.
You don't think he could be an Avenger?
I think he could be an Avenger. I just
Jail cells unlock automatically.
don't want to read that
So we
plotline.
take out the
It
Jenny.
just sounds terrible.
Come on.
There you
I
go,
don't know.
Sean.
It's
Your
either
next-
going to be
Maybe
terrible
not, yeah.
or it's going to be the right kind of terrible that is fucking hilarious.
It's gonna be like a train crash, or like someone yelling at their kid in a supermarket super loud. Like, you don't want to look at it, but can't really look away.
That'll be your next fanfic, Sean.
Nice.
Eyes on the Jenny.
All right, do we want to go for one more round of hot takes, or should we go on to table topic hot takes?
We should probably move on.
Table topic hot takes.
All right,
It's late.
it is. We've been going for a while.
Let's just do a round of that.
All right, and that I think will be good. So yeah, who's gonna go first?
I mean, in my personal opinion, my experience, card games are the superior tabletop experience.
Sniper out there.
Touche.
You're wrong, but
I figured I would get something. So
I got some cards.
my backing for that, they are, for the most part, simple enough to understand. They've got clear cut and concise rules and regs, and you know what you're getting into. It's relatively black and white, so it's a good user friendly experience with an exceptionally high skill ceiling if you wish to take it that far. So, it is a low floor, high ceiling scenario. And not very intimidating to get into.
I feel like that's fairly true of most tabletop RPGs. Like, especially 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons isn't a super steep learning curve. That's like obviously the big one, but I feel like if you get into indie tabletops like at all, you'll find a ton of like RPGs that are even way simpler to get into than that. And so I see what you're saying, but I don't see how it applies better to card games than traditional tabletop RPGs. Because
No, you know.
I think, I think most card games, due to the rigidity of the rules, and in the case of Magic the Gathering, which I would argue is probably the highest skill ceiling, have two significant barriers to entry, one of which is just learning how everything interacts.
I'm moving to position.
Which you can learn over time. There is.
I'm opening fire.
It's not necessarily to know every single rule all at once, but you're going to get surprised by things constantly when playing that game. Constant interactions you're going to get screwed over by before you learn them.
They're on to us.
Fair.
If you're not an obsessive rulebook studier. And number two, cost.
That
it
will.
costs.
Yeah.
Oh shit, here they come.
Magic the Gathering is, as much as I think we're kinds of fans of it, it is a pay-to-win game.
Yeah, absolutely. MTG, I think, is kind of an anomaly in the source. They are unreasonably expensive with MTG packs. Like, it is obscene how high. Like, I have a box in my store that is $90.
is
That
that one
is
of
excessive.
the booster boxes that just comes with like? Those come with a lot of packs, though. If that's what I'm thinking of.
A mint Black Lotus is worth about $800,000.
It is insane.
Used card markets are another kind of can of worms we could open up, I think. I don't mind opening it up, but we could be here a while.
That might be a future table topic.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea. But,
Talking about. Go ahead, Sean.
See what we can find.
yeah, because I think the cost of, getting into just, like, going back to what Crow said originally, just to get into Magic is, like, if you've got some buddies that play, like, they probably just have extra cards, right? Like, I have enough cards that I could probably just throw together a deck, right, if I had somebody who was interested in playing, or I'd just let them borrow mine to learn how, and then they could buy a starter deck. They make all sorts of starter decks for this game that are, $15, $20. And they have varying themes depending on what the new set is and what the themes in the set are and stuff like that. So I feel like it's not that bad of a buy-in. Because I feel like that's about akin to what I see for Pokemon cards as well. I don't follow Yu-Gi-Oh! As much. I have like 2 Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks still, which one of these days I think I should get online with Crow and try my old school decks versus Crow.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that'd be hilarious.
Sniper rifle over here.
Bring it.
But, yeah.
Oh, I got a super hot take here,
Ooh,
which is one that I truly, well and sincerely believe and can back up.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Around here for some intel.
Modern D&D adventure design is trash.
Ooh. Back your claim, bro.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I
interested.
need your help with something.
Modern D&D adventure design has nothing in the way of procedure for how you go about playing outside of combat. And most editions of D&D, from 3rd edition onward, that procedure heavily shifts towards combat. 3rd edition still had some of that. 4th edition was almost entirely combat-centric. 5th edition shifted back, but it didn't replace, like, the dungeon crawling procedure with anything. And the adventures that are released don't have good adventure design. Their design is mostly combat focused, and they spend an awful lot of words on fluff that doesn't fucking matter for running something at the table.
I can see that. It's something I don't have a ton of experience with because I don't buy published adventure modules, and I rarely look at like other people's adventure modules online or anything. Every now and then, like if I see something that somebody recommends, I'll check it out or whatever. But I don't remember the last time I ran an adventure that was not something that I just designed myself. So I think this is a problem that makes sense, and it's something that I don't feel like I have a problem with necessarily, because I try to integrate the dungeon crawling and the roleplay with the combat interspersed between different segments of the dungeon. And that's on me as a designer of the dungeon. But that's how I do everything. I homebrew every dungeon and every encounter that I ever run, you know. And I know a lot of people don't homebrew everything like that. So, you know, it's an interesting problem to tackle, because I feel like if that's just the state of things, I don't know, that seems like, how would that get to be the state of things? Because the groups that I have ever played with are almost all like not necessarily role play heavy, like, oh, we're all role players as opposed to combat players, right? But I feel like every group I've ever played with has wanted at least some amount of balance between the two, you know? And I feel like most DMs that I've played for try to balance the two to some extent as well, and try to make dungeon crawling more than just going combat to combat. I feel like 5th edition is built to go combat to combat. And I noticed that as a DM the first time I tried to run for 5th edition, because I was like loosely familiar with it. It's got enough crossover with 3.5 that I am really familiar with, that I was like, yeah, I could run in 5th edition. I'll just, you know, write up some stat blocks of the enemies and all that. And yeah, it'll be fine. And I found that my players would go and kill whatever was in the combat, and then they'd explore for a little, or actually most of the time, right immediately after that, they'd just rest. And then they'd keep exploring, and then they'd get into another combat, and then they'd kill all the monsters, and then they'd rest again. And I'm just like, wait, hold on, you're just going to take another rest? And it's like, yes, that's mechanically built into 5th edition. So I think part of the cure there, if that is the case with adventure modules, is, first of all, address the system, because that is one of the things that I kind of have beef with about 5th edition, is it doesn't feel like an adventure if you're stopping the adventure to take a 30-minute break every time you fight anything, right? At that point, you're sitting more than you're adventuring. And, like, obviously,
I think
it doesn't come out that way, because in play, resting is like, we take a short rest. Okay, you get your benefits. And that's about it. You know, unless, you know, there's wandering monsters or something. But, you know, that's not something that I generally put in my dungeons, because I assume that they're going to take them all in one go, because that's the kind of D&D that I've always played. Go ahead, Chris.
So I think D&D, to some extent, has always had the issue of the 10-minute workday. Of, oh, we fought an encounter, we spent some resources, let's just go back and rest, because, this thing's not going to replenish. So what's necessary for a game like D&D to make that not the case, where people actually have to decide how to spend their resources carefully, would be either time pressure in the mission, in which case you'd be like, okay, you've got 3 days to do this, and you have to get through this dungeon in 3 days, or else. Or number 2, basically say, alright, well, you killed that monster, that group of monsters, you rested. Alright, they've repopulated already. More monsters crawled out of the fucking stonework.
Monsters respawn.
Yeah. So, do it right this time.
Yeah.
So if you want that to not be the case, you almost have to address that in scenario design. And I think I like the time pressure solution best, because it feels like you're deciding your rests are a resource that you have to spend.
Well, that's kind of how I look at it when I'm designing in 3.5 or whatever, is that you have a certain amount of resources, which is going to be whatever spells and potions you've brought, whatever ability you have to heal, whatever ability you have to mitigate damage is going to go down throughout the adventure and hopefully not be depleted by the time you get all the way there, at which point, I don't mind sometimes if my players took, like, a rest in the middle of a dungeon or went out and rested at the inn and came back or whatever, but that would be usually, like, one time a dungeon. So I think it's not as much of a problem in that system, because the rests are, like, not so easy to... I don't know exactly what it is, because it's like... I feel like you have more of a benefit and no real detriment for using rests in 5th edition. So I feel like at some point the system's going to exacerbate the problem, even so.
Because they didn't include the necessary counterbalance systems and advice, which is basically like, if you have a big enough dungeon, it's going to take you some time to explore, and then you have like wandering monsters in there, and those wandering monsters need to be enough of a threat that you need to fear running into them. And then so you can't just go in the dungeon, exit, go hit your target, and then exit without any penalty. You need to have some sort of threat that stops that from being just the correct tactic.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and that's just not in 5th edition's advice. And it's not 4th edition's advice. And it's not 3rd edition's advice. It's something that's missing. It's a missing piece of the design that causes the rest of the design to kind of spiral out into something that's just casually, oh, we're just going to take this at our leisure. Which is, it's like, it's not bad, I guess, but it's kind of mediocre. It's not like, oh, I hate this, but it's like, oh, this is kind of bland and unsatisfying.
Yeah. All right, you ready for my hot take?
Yes.
Go for it.
Rules lawyering is good.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell. Share with the class.
So, yeah, rules lawyering, I feel like, gets poo-pooed a lot by, a lot of, big tabletop RPG, like, advocate people. Like, I feel like just online when you're talking about tabletops a lot, like, rules lawyering gets, a bad rap. You know, it's like that's not something you should do. You shouldn't be that worried about the rules if everybody's having fun. And to an extent, yeah, I think that's true. I think fun should be center stage, but also, like, I think the rules are there for a reason because, you know, the rules are there to make it fair for everybody in theory in a well-designed system. And, you know, if somebody's not keeping the rules in check, then it's not necessarily a fair game. And also, I feel like it really depends on the type of player you are, right? Because I've played with some rules lawyer heavy groups, and I think it's fine usually when somebody's like, you know what, I don't think you're right. I'd like to look up a ruling because, you know, I want my character to do this. And then, you know, as long as you're not being a dick about it, you know, I think it's perfectly fine to just look at the rules and, you know, check them out, you know. And sometimes I think there's a time for the DM to make a quick decision based on their gut. But I don't think it's necessarily better or worse either way, and I think a lot of players like to play that way. A lot of players get a kick out of knowing the rules back and forth, you know. So being able to, you know, cite this particular way that the rules work at a time when it becomes important to do so for the sake of fairness or whatever, I think is a useful skill. And if that's the way that they want to play, then I think that's what's fun for them, you know? I don't think we should decry their fun because we're, you know, not well read on the system.
So that begs the question then of what quantifies rules lawyering, because in my mind, whenever I had heard of the term rules lawyering, it was always, you know, somebody being a stickler for the rules. Like, no, the rule book says this is how it's done, so it has to be done specifically this way. We cannot deviate. Like,
So-
that was always my understanding of rules lawyering.
So rules lawyering, the term rules lawyering is interesting, and I feel like I've played these games long enough to have heard both variations of the term.
Mhm.
And the original variation used by Gary Gygax actually was basically a guy who wants to be like, hey, the rules say this, so my character wins, kind of thing. It was like kind of a way of like saying, oh well, the wording of how this thing is said tells me that I'm allowed to do this, so this should work. In ways that really shouldn't if you were engaging with the fiction. Hello.
I'm getting tacos or something.
Oh, hi.
I got a
I have
burrito
tacos
on
in my
stream.
fridge.
This is like the best day ever.
I'm a good wife. Hello, people.
Hello.
Ha! I got a burrito.
Whereas
I think of
definition-
rules lawyering as not necessarily being an advocate for the rules, but being willing to discuss them and the minutiae within them. I think rules lawyering for me actually is a term that I more generally associate with Magic than I do with D&D, because it comes up more in Magic because Magic is complicated as fuck and there's a lot of random little niggles, and like if you interpret it, rules are up to interpretation, I think. And I think rules lawyering is what I think of as discussing what is the correct interpretation, the correct way to interpret them.
So that's the second definition I was talking about, the one that
Yeah.
I hear more often today, which is the person who cares about following the rules regardless of how it affects them or their character. Like, they want the rules of the game to be followed so that the experience feels more, I don't know, real.
Roger that.
Mhm.
Like, it's more like, hey, we earned this, as
Yeah.
opposed to the guy who is the original definition of rules lawyer, which is, well, it was like, oh, well, I can get away with this because the rules say, or they don't say this thing. And it was entirely about, trying to be kind of a munchkin.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about that second definition,
Direct fire.
I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with
Because
you to a
I think
certain
there's,
extent.
yeah, I think there's a point where it becomes inappropriate, and I think there's a place for house rules. There's a place for homebrew, because as a primarily homebrew DM, like, I make up house rules all the time, or technically, our entire system is a house rule system that we usually play with in my campaigns that we call 3-point PF, because it's a combination of 3.0, and Pathfinder that we've kind of all settled on. These are the best parts of all three of these systems, and that's the go-to system when I run a game. So, but then, sometimes you get into points where it's like, okay, what is the correct, because, like, especially in Magic the Gathering, but to an extent in other kinds of tabletops, other kinds of card games, things like that, I have had so many places where if you, like, read the cards one way, you could infer it to mean something, but if you're not interpreting it the right way, then it could have actually a drastic effect on the end result. Which I don't.
We're working with Pakatari.
I kind of like that sometimes.
People who are disappearing.
I think it provides interesting food for thought. It's interesting to, like, just discuss, like, is this the correct way to interpret it? And if not, then let's find the correct way to interpret it, and let's figure out how this rule should be enforced.
So, in the context of tabletop RPGs, it's not in terms of, like, Magic, which I think the rules are pretty hard and fast there.
Yeah.
But in the context of tabletop RPGs, I also, well, I kind of agree with you, I also kind of disagree with you.
Mhm.
And the part where I disagree with you is I think it's on whoever's running the game to provide kind of a consistent world. And that world, the consistency of that world doesn't necessarily have to be exactly how the rules work, if it matches kind of how the fiction works.
Yeah. That makes sense, and I feel like you can tailor your system with house rules to make the system fit the flavor of the world.
Yeah, I think I think if you say this is a house rule, then a rules lawyer could be like, well, this is how you said it works. But in this case, I'm saying on the spot calls that the rules kind of cover, but might not.
Yeah.
Sort of like, all right, let's say you have a multiple miles wide explosion. How do you rule that? How do you rule the effects of that beyond, damage and size? Let's say damage and size is specified. How do you rule the effects of that? What gets blasted into the atmosphere? What gets what's like the winds around that?
That's the kind of thing where I think actually rules lawyering would help, because I'm not exactly sure how I should handle that. I'm going to open it up to the table or the player causing this effect. Or, if it's me causing this effect as DM, I'm going to arbitrarily make it up because that's how I roll. Because I make up weird bullshit when I make my homebrew shit. Because, like, we've been over that. Everything I do is homebrew. So if I had a 1,000,000-mile wide explosion in my campaign, or whatever, 2 mile wide, that's slightly less world ending.
I recently had to deal with a 2-mile wide explosion.
Right. Yeah, if I had a 2-mile wide explosion, then I would plan beforehand, like how much damage I would, say beforehand, what is going to be affected. I would probably just, like, change everything within that radius to difficult terrain and erase any town that I had there. And that would probably be about it.
So, alright, I have a very specific, somewhat hypothetical example for you. In that, some of what I'm about to say actually happened, and some of what I'm about to say did not happen.
Okay.
So in this example, a player drops an item that causes a 2-mile wide explosion. My ruling in this case was because they were at point pretty much 0 of that explosion. They died instantly. Now, in the rules, it says that no matter how far negative you are, if you roll dismemberment on the table, you get to roll a dismemberment roll, and then your character gets to keep on living. But in this case, I was saying you're doing this intentionally. You would know that you're that this explosion is incredibly deadly. This will wipe out a city. You're going to die instantly if you do this.
Yeah.
Now this player, in the real world situation, not inclined to disagree with that. They said, "All right, I'm willing to accept that. I'm going to die with this." But if they had argued against that, I would say, no. You can either do this and die, or you can not do this and try and figure something else out.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what the rules say. You're not going to survive a 2-mile wide explosion if you're in that blast radius. If you're like pretty close to dead center.
I think at that point, yeah, I think it would be an interesting conversation to have with them if they were not willing to accept this. But I would be on your side, because the point of the dismemberment table is dismemberment table. The point of the dismemberment table is, to potentially keep your character going where they might not otherwise be able to. But it is not to save your character from certain death in a situation where they could not possibly survive.
Yes.
So that's going against the purpose of the rule. I would rule that the rule does not apply.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I see it. And I say, just because the rules say, just because this is how this particular section of these rules are worded, doesn't mean that that's going to apply 100% of the time, even if, because these rules are designed to facilitate play, they're not designed to encompass all possible outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
All possible situations. And in practice, the player who did this said, yeah, I'm aware I'm probably going to die doing this. That's fine.
Yeah.
I am getting an on-call from my work here, so I'm going to have to jump off.
Righto, Chris. Thank you for
think it
joining
might
us,
be a good-
and we will see you again next time.
Very well,
So long.
Chris.
Yeah.
I think it might just be a good point to call it, because it is getting very late.
Yes. I was planning on doing that here soon, anyways. So, yeah, thank you for joining us. We have been a drink to the past, as always. So Chris has to go to work now, because that's what happens.
He's a late night boy.
He's on call at night, so he has to probably fix somebody's computer at work that they fucked up. I don't know what he does. It's something involving computers. I don't know if he's the IT guy or what, but
He does Chris things.
yes. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for joining us as always, Crow. This is my good buddy Crow. You can catch him. I got his links on screen right now. So
Hey.
at Crowbird Cannon on Twitter and twitch.tv/Crowbird Cannon. So check him out.
Yeah. I do stuff. I do Zelda streams. And speaking of, I'm going to be doing a Zeldathon stream on October 1st. We're going to be finishing Skyward Sword, completing that 100%, and then jumping into Majora's Mask.
Awesome. I'm going to
We'll
be
also be
in Pittsburgh, but if I can jump in for a little bit, I might jump in.
Yeah.
Just
We're also going to be raising
chat
money
it up.
for charity. October 1st through October 10th, we'll be raising money for the Young Minds charity. It's a mental health organization that focuses on younger folks.
Awesome. I am all about that, so that's awesome. So, yeah. We will now enter our final phase of the podcast where we talk about inane bullshit until somebody says something really awkward and I cut off the podcast.
I mean, isn't everything that we talk about just inane bullshit at the end of the day?
Yeah?
I think I let off with that last time. I'm an uncreative son of a bitch, but you know what?
Got the bike.
I don't
why I'm a
remember
creator.
it, so that either means that you didn't do it or I've drunk a lot of beer.
I mean, hey, the latter is probably true, but also a win on technicality is still a win.
You know. I didn't really rate my beer today. I kept thinking,
yeah.
trying to think of a good place to cut in, but I've got Guinness in. It's actually this Guinness. It's Nitro Cold Brew Coffee Guinness.
Not the Book of World Records.
No,
Gotcha.
actually, that is technically the same Guinness.
Really? I didn't know that.
It's Guinness, the beer company. I don't know exactly how they're related, if they just own the world record thing, but I know it's the same Guinness.
Interesting.
I looked that up one time, and now I don't remember all the details, but yeah. So you can thank this beer for any world record that you may or may not have set.
So what you're telling me is that future Sean Drinks Something Stupid is going to be you blending up a Guinness Book of World Records, adding some water and drinking.
I'm having a Guinness.
You're technically drinking a Guinness.
I'll just just take a whole world record book and chop it into bits, put it in the blender with a pint of Guinness.
Yeah, I would say with some actual Guinness.
Yeah. And sprinkles.